The big question about God: why does God stay silent when we need Him most? Why does God allow suffering? Is everything predestined by God? Can someone be spiritual without believing in God? That brings us to a very big question for today. But permit me to say this: we pray, we cry, we search for answers. Sometimes God feels silent. Sometimes life feels painfully unfair. Sometimes we wonder whether our future is already written or if our choices truly matters. And in a world where many people say they are spiritual but not religious, one question remains: can someone be deeply spiritual without believing in God? Today on Free Flow Podcast, we're diving into four of the most profound questions humanity has ever asked. This is not a sermon, it is not a debate to prove who is right. It's an honest conversation about faith, suffering, and the search for meaning. Welcome to Free Flow Podcast, where conversations move naturally and nothing off leads. So this episode is about God, silence and suffering, destiny and spirituality. Whether you're a believer, a skeptic, or someone still searching for answers, this conversation is for you. Joining me live today is Honorable Oluwaseyi Olaito. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah, you want to tell us, has been your day, if you're doing great at how's work and everything?
I'm doing very well. I always do well.
I like that. So today we're going to be talking about something a whole lot of persons have been asking, and something that has been in the mind of many. That's what we're discussing today. We're going to be talking about the big question about God. To some persons, God exists. To some persons, God does not exist. To some persons, spirituality exists. To some persons, spirituality does not exist. Or to you, let me ask you to start with, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I believe that it is very wrong for anybody to think that there is no God. God exists, and the proof of the existence of God is human beings ourselves. The design is so fantastic. The design of the world is so good that somebody must have started it. There is a beginning. And I believe that apart from the beginning, there are metaphysical powers in charge of the activities of the world. And that's God.
All right, so that brings me to my first question I would like to ask you, and which is, why does God stay silent when we need Him the most?
It depends on what you mean by God. If a Christian wants to describe God, they describe God according to the tenets of their own religion. If a Muslim wants to describe God, they describe God as Allah, according to the tenets of the Islamic religion. But is that God? Nice. What I mean is this. I have read metaphysical materials. I've studied the Bible very extensively. I've been able to have interactions with the Quran. I've also listened to the perspective of other people and other cultures of the world. It is an error to look at God from the window or the scope of one religion. The God of Israel in the Bible, that's not God.
When you say the God of Israel is not gorgeous, what do you mean?
What I mean is that I believe in the concept. Okay, let me say this. Nobody has the answer to the full scope of God. No individual can come and tell you that I know God for a fact. But I have seen the evidence and the activities of God and the gods. So to say that there is just one entity that is God, that is not true with the facts that is available to us, even in the Bible.
So what you're trying to tell us that is that there is God, but you can't say it's just one.
There are many gods.
Have you made to ask you, before I go straight to the next question on our list, are you a Christian, a Muslim, a traditionalist? Which of them do you know?
Many a times, many of us do not choose this religion. You find yourself in the world, you don't choose your parents, and most of the time, the religion of your parents becomes your own religion. But that can't be the only way. So some of us decided to make extensive research to even see. Many of my family members are Muslims, but my father is a Christian. So I grew up as a Christian. But one thing is required as an human being. Once you start using logic, once you start applying your prayer, then you can't be a good Christian or a Muslim. The moment you start applying logic and start applying prayer. So religion, in the eyes of Christians and Muslims and some other religions, require for you to pretend to be a stupid person. So you can be a brilliant lawyer. But when it comes to the question of religion, then you pretend to carry that brilliance and put it in one place and they apply it. So if by the standard of what you want to understand, I am a Christian, but I know that our religion is not the only perception of God. There are many other religions with their own perceptions, and we're all right.
All right, let me ask you this on a personal note. Have you ever prayed with all your heart and had nothing in return? No signs, no answers, just silence.
According to the Bible, there are 3 answers to every question. There is wait, there is yes, and there is no. So how then can you tell if you are not seeing the result of what you are asking for immediately? How can you tell that God is not telling you no or wait? That's still a response. Now, God sees the full picture. Let me give you an example. We are here now holding this program. We don't know what will happen in the next 1 or 2 hours. We don't know what will happen 8 p.m. today. It is only God and the gods that can see the full picture. Do you get? Now, there are certain things that we ask from God. He already has a plan. But because we as human beings cannot see the plan, then we think He has not answered us. There are certain things that must happen to us to maintain world balance. Let me give you an example. If everybody were to be living long, by now, the world would have crashed. People must die to maintain balance. People must be given birth to maintain balance. So when my father was sick, if I had begged God to answer my prayer for my father not to die, and everybody has begged God for their family members not to die, what will happen to the world? It will crash. Now, the world is like human beings who are like a parasitic relationship. A parasite feasts on the host. If the host does not kill the parasite will kill the host. It's one of the two. Now, for balance to be maintained, let me give you another example. If everybody were to be rich, do you think the world would go on the way it's supposed to go on? We can't maintain order. If all of us were rich, who would drive the rich man? Who would clean your toilet? Who would be the bank working for you? Who would ride you if you want to take a bike? So to maintain balance, people have to belong in different categories. Because most of the time, what we usually pray for as human beings is economic strength. Most of the time, when you ask people, what are you praying for? It always centers around money. Do you understand? Now, let me also make this point. The spiritual controls the physical. There is nothing that you can get physically that has not been given to you spiritually. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, permit me to say this to you. You made mention of gods. Yes. Need to get it clear. If we make reference to the Bible, when I think it was Moses, he led the children of Israelites from Egypt, and he went on to get the 10 commandments. Before he could return, the children of Israel were already doing something else. And part of the 10 commandments was, thou shalt not worship another God separate from the God Moses, as of them, I told them to follow. Right? So are you trying to tell me that if you're saying God, the gods, let's get it clear. Is it that you're making us believe that there is God, there is gods, and you need to believe in them God, or believe in the gods, leave the God, or believe in God, leave the gods?
You can believe in your own God. That is not to say your God is the universal God. You're also an English user, and this is basic English. If an husband tells the wife, thou shalt not have any other husband besides me, the husband has confirmed that there are many other husbands. Do you understand the logic? God himself wouldn't be telling the children of Israel not to worship any other God if God himself, according to the Bible, didn't know that there are other gods. Now, let me tell you, if you read the Bible extensively, Genesis 1 will give you, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. You see, God. And the earth was without form and void. And the Spirit of the Lord was upon the waters. And verse 3, God said, there be light, and there was light. I see God. When it got to the sixth day that God wanted to make man, let me tell you what that verse says. It says, come, let us reason together. Let us make man in our own image. Yeah. You would agree with me that when you say us in our, you're not talking about one individual. You are talking about several thousands, if not millions of individuals, advanced, what we call extraterrestrials. We don't know them yet, but I believe that by 2027, we'll be introduced to them. We've seen evidence of their works. We've seen evidence of their activities, but we've not been introduced to them.
When you say 2027 will be introduced to them, how do you understand?
I believe that the gods will reveal themselves to us. I believe that advanced extraterrestrials, personally, looking at all the events that have happened, this year, every government of the world will agree that there are other people living in this world apart from human beings. I will see the evidence very clearly, very, very clearly. Even in the Yoruba traditional religion, the Yoruba people believe that it's not just human beings that is living in the world. Yeah, you know, even according to the Bible mentioned principalities and powers. Now, if only God is the sole existence and the owners of the world, why do we then have other principalities and powers? Now, many of the things that you would see in the Bible is what I call intentional misrepresentation. Intentional misrepresentation. Now, if you look at the Bible you quoted the other time that talks about not having another God, is Exodus 20. Exodus 20 from 1 talks about the 10 commandments, if you check the Bible. The first line says, for I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. And if you remember the beginning of that story is that the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt. Now, if their God took them out of the land of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, are you telling me that that same God is also the God of the Egyptians? No. If their God is the universal God and the God of the Egyptians, why do you think he would then prefer the Israelites over you? You wouldn't prefer the Israelites over you. So that God made himself very explicitly clear that I am the God of the Israelites. Very simple. Now, when the Israelites were there were people in Yoruba land. There were people in Igbo land. There are people in China. There are people in Asia. There were people in Europe. Because the Israelites are not the first people in the world. But from the perspective of the Bible, you can then assume that maybe the world started from there. No. Evidence have showed that our people in Yoruba land are older than Adam and Eve. We are not their mates in terms of the number of years that we've been here. So while their own God was creating them and giving them everything that they need, there are other gods in China. That's why we're not the same. It is an error to think that we're created the same and we're the same and our anatomy is the same. No. But one thing I've noticed is that there is a source that we don't know yet.
There's more like a connection.
Yes, because everybody speaks. Let me tell you, if you remove technology from the world today, without the phone, without any means of transportation, without any form of technology, there is no way to know that there are people in Ghana. Tell me how do you know? So if you agree that if you remove technology, there is no way to know that there are people in Ghana. So those who are in Israel at that time can erroneously assume that they are the only ones in the surface of the earth, because there is no way they would have communicated with the people in Asia. There's no way they would have communicated with the people in China. There's no way they would have communicated with our people in Oshogbo.
Well, let me come in here. I think at the point where the children of Israelites were actually going, the promised land that was shown to them, we were told in the Bible that there were giant men there, which they had to take over from to be able to get into the promised land. So I believe there is a set of persons there, yes, already that were on that land.
The Bible identified them. The Bible identified those giant men as Nephilim, the family of Goliath. And let me tell you how they came to be. I told you that there are several extraterrestrials. The Bible also recorded it. And I believe that the writers of the Bible should have removed some of these things, but maybe they made a mistake, or maybe they know that the time will come.
No way. If you say the writers of Bible made a mistake,
I believe so. That's a big word. No, I believe so. I believe so. Let me tell you, the purpose of religion is to enslave. It's for the purpose of politics. Let me give you an example. It will shock you. The concept of heaven and hell is an imaginary concept. There's nothing like that. There's no heaven, there's no hell. It's not even in the Bible. The record is not there. It's an imaginary concept just to keep people in check.
wait, there's no heaven.
No, there's nothing like that.
Can you help us prove that further?
Now, it has been established in all of these religions. It is only Abrahamic religion, the children of Abraham, that have heaven and hell in their own religion. According to Yoruba metaphysics, according to Yoruba traditional beliefs, there is nothing like heaven or hell. The result of your deeds, you will get it here. And life is a continuum. There's this thing that usually happens to us. They call it deja vu. It's not deja vu. There are many spectrums of light that is going on simultaneously. You may have been here before. This may not be your first existence. But do you have access to the memories of the previous existence? No. For some of these things, it's like a radio station. When you are tuning into a radio station, if there's a station on 104.5, and then there's a radio station that is also 104.6, sometimes it can collide. That's when you see some things and you feel like I've seen this thing before, and then you call it deja vu.
I've done this thing before.
Yes, I've done this thing before. I've seen this day before. It is a product of the fact that life experiences is happening simultaneously on a different level. Now, let's go back to the concept of heaven and hell. It is an imaginary concept. Somebody believes in Jesus and believes that Jesus will come back. When Jesus comes back, will he also judge the traditional worshippers who do not believe in him? Will he also judge the Muslims who strictly believe in the supremacy of another Muhammad? That's not true. But they must tell you to keep the people in check. There's something in the Bible, they call it tithe and offering. Big scam. Just to take money from people and to keep them in check. Now people now know. A couple of years back, there's this man, Daddy Freeze, that used to say it. People who abuse him. They abuse him thoroughly, they abuse his family. But now people can now see. You don't have to go and give your money to anybody. But if they don't tell you that if you don't pay it, you will not prosper, you will pay it. Which church is Dangote paying his own tithes to? Out of the tithe that people are paying in Oshobo, how come they are not as rich as Elon Musk? How come scientists who will tell you, Charles Darwin, who will tell you that there is no God, is prosperous? Prosperity and spirituality, two different things. You can prosper in the world without necessarily believing that whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, there's nothing like that.
Okay, that makes me into the question though, that I need to ask. I appreciate the fact that you established that there is God.
Yes.
So let's move on. Why does God allow suffering? Let me put it in this way so we can put like two eggs in one basket at the center. If God is loving, powerful, why does pain exist?
God is not necessarily loving at all times. That is the position of the Bible. And it's not true. Let me give you an example of one event in the Bible. The children of Israel, if are Christians, they celebrate crimes in their church. You know, the sort of thing that Boko Haram usually do now. How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? That's exactly the kinds of miracles that Christians celebrate in their church. And they use it to praise God. And they dance. Let me give you an example. There is a portion in the Bible where the children of God were said to have gone around the wall of Jericho 6 times, and then the 7th time they shouted and played their harp, and then the wall of Jericho fell down flat. If you listen to that song that we used to sing when I was small, the wall of Jericho fell down flat, the children of God were praising the Lord, the wall of is a major crime. It is like a country has made its own border and made a fence. What is the purpose of a fence? To protect yourself. And then some people came and then said their own God has promised them that's your own land. Think of it as Boko Haram coming from Niger, the way they also claim that they are the owners of Nigeria, up to Niger. That's exactly it. Now, if you think that God is also the God of everybody, Do you know what they did to the children of Jericho, the people that were there? Their God instructed them to kill all of them. So let's assume that God is our Father. How can He support you to then kill the 5 of us? Do you understand? Now, what they only tried to do is to make sure that they present that their God, the God of Israel, as the supreme God. But while all of that was going on, there are people in Oshobo. Have you noticed how beautiful the Yoruba language is? Who do you think taught us the Yoruba language? Do you think it was when the white people came with Christian religion that they taught us how to speak? Do you think so? No. It's our own gods that taught us. Have you noticed that everybody in the world has different kinds of food and it's not the same? If you go to China, they don't eat ewedu. It is a food that is peculiar to the Yoruba people. Who do you think gave us? Or do you think somebody was just going beside the road and then someone leave and then try to see, why are they not eating akitola? It is because God, our God created us, gave us a syllabus. I don't know how they do it now. When we were young, if you want to write down, we have a CD and a syllabus. That CD will contain all the likely topics that they will set in that exam. That is the kind of thing that happen in the world. Have you noticed the way the Yoruba people dress? Have you noticed our style of music? That it is different. Even our musical instruments, we're not the owners of guitar. It belongs to somebody else. We're not the owners of tambourine or harp. It belongs to somebody else. But there is nobody else that has gaga because it is native to us, because we are the owner, and these are donations from our own God. Do you understand? Yes.
All right. So let me now ask you, why do innocent people suffer? Why do tragedies happen? And let's put that together. Why do you think that innocent people suffer?
There is no, I say everybody will say, I'm innocent. There is nobody that is innocent in the true sense of it.
What do you mean by this?
What I mean is this: if you lie against me about a matter, I'm innocent of that matter. But what if I had done something else and then this is the result of that something else that I've done?
Is it possible that, because I used to say, some people will say, I've done something before. I did something to this person. This is the repercussion happening. The foreseeable brilliance.
I believe so. God has told you when it is. You know, God has spoken with me. I've seen the evidence of His existence, but He has not given me the full grasp of the whole issue. But one thing I know is that karma is real. In one way or the other, we will take whatever it is that we sow. In one way or the other, whether in this life or the next or the previous one. But to then say somebody is innocent, that is not true. The person that is innocent on one matter has backbite on somebody else and made the person got sacked. But then the person has forgotten that he has made somebody got sacked, and they lie against you over another matter. That can be your only. That's what can be the repercussion of that thing that I did to somebody else. Now, that one I did to somebody else will be a repercussion of what the person has done to somebody else too. So it is a continuum. And let me tell you, as human beings, we usually assume that we're the wisest, that we're the greatest. And then God has given us dominion over everything else. And it's not necessarily so. When a goat gives birth, do you notice that they breastfeed their child? Are you the one that teach them to breastfeed their child? So it means that when God created them, He has given a female goat the sense of care over the child. Abi, that means that a goat also has a sense of love. And then you carry the goat and you kill the goat. Do you think that the family of the goat does not feel the same way you will feel if your family is traveling and they have accidents? But we generally assume that we're the only ones, and then we're the only wise one. No, it's not.
Well, I think according to the Bible, He said, according to the Bible, "I'm giving you powers to trample upon every living thing on the earth, the fish of the river, the animals of the land, and all of that."
You are not differently on lions. How come you are not, according to your wisdom, you don't get. How come you are not trampling on tigers? It is because the ones that are more calm, the ones that we domesticate them, all right? Then we do all kinds of things to them. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is this. Do you know what Basenji is? No. Good. Basenji is the Yoruba breed of dogs, African dogs. If you notice, our dog in Africa is different from the one in Asia. The one in Asia is different from the one in Germany. The one in Germany is different from the one in America. Do you understand? Alsatian dog, German Shepherd, these are different breeds of dog. Now, when God created their own dog for them in the United States, our own God also created a model of that kind of clay. That's how different. If you marry a white person, now, if you want to give birth to your child, why do you think your child would not look entirely like you or entirely like that person? Because we are not essentially the same. It's a mixed breed. It's a mixed breed. We are not the same. Different gods, different compositions. So when we come together, you will see the evidence of the difference. And it's very clear. So to think that your God is the only God, not true. But I know that there are certain gods that are more powerful than each other. There are certain gods that have prioritized strength over wisdom. One thing I've noticed is that the gods that created most black people only prioritize physical strength. According to Yoruba wisdom, the gods that created the white people prioritized more of wisdom than physical strength. If you look at any sport that requires physical strength, like boxing, like wrestling, what do you notice about the people that excel in that sport or basketball? What do you think is the common denominator? Blacks. In fact, if anything that requires strength, bring a black man. But anything that requires wisdom, we're not on the same wavelength of wisdom with the white people. And that is a fact.
So would you want to tell me that since it is that way, would you want to tell me that the God that created the whites is quite different from the God that created the blacks? Or same God, but in a partial standing?
I believe that there are different gods, of course. The different God created us. I'm not the same with an Asian. I'm not the same with somebody from Thailand. That's why their eyes is like this.
Or to a large extent, we used to hear it that they say we all believe in one God. We serve one God.
It is for administrative convenience so that you will not continue to fight. If you believe that the Muslim serve the same God as you, why are you trying to convert them to your religion? If indeed you believe there is one God, okay, for example now, Weber Bank is the same. So why will somebody working for Weber Bank in Station Road be convincing you to come and use Weber Bank in Ayetoro?
Where there's one Weber.
When it does Weber Bank, do you get? But the writers of the religion know that it is not the same God. So they advertise it. It's like somebody has a brand called Samsung. Somebody has a brand called Apple. Somebody has a brand called itel. Somebody has a brand called Infinix. They are all phones. But are they the same?
Not at all.
Not at all. But they can perform nearly the same function on different levels. Now, if a pastor tells you that they are worshiping the same God, why does somebody attending CAC wants to combat it by attending Sele? If a Muslim, to come to their own, if a Muslim thinks they are worshiping the same God, why do they call Christians keferi, non-believers? Do you understand? Now, if you claim that worship the same God, are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Do you worship Allah?
No.
Is Allah your God?
To a large extent, I believe.
No, Allah is the God of the Arabians. That is the name of the God of the Arabians. Olodumare is the name of the God of the Yoruba people. Olodumare is not the same as Jehovah. Two different concepts. But for administrative convenience, so that people don't continue to fight, they put it like that. For example, as I am, if you abuse Jesus Christ and I'm a Christian, I don't have any business with it. Because Jesus Christ is powerful and you abuse him, let him fight for himself. Do you get what I say? Jesus Christ is powerful and you abuse him. That is a problem between you and Jesus Christ. You know? Now, the Christians today is the same God. But they ostracize those that are traditional worshippers. If it is the same God, why are they not your family members? There are different gods all over the world. There are different, in fact, There are people who have done different things. Let me give you one example. Pythagoras' theorem. And what's it called? There's this thing. It's a table. It's a table for all the elements. I don't know if you remember table for elements. Calcium, oxygen, this and that. The person that did it was an Indian mathematician, Ramanujan. They granted an interview and they asked him, where did you get this knowledge? Do you know what he said? He said, I dreamt dreams. I saw visions. God spoke to him. They showed him there is no technology that is from man. Are you getting it? I met a scientist that told me that he's a scientist and doesn't believe in God. There's no God. I said, even the science they are doing is the proof of the existence of God. He now said, what do I mean? I said, what is the composition of water? He said, H2O. I said, what is H? He said, hydrogen. I said, what is the 2O? He said, oxygen. I said, go and bring water. Let's assume that you met water. Somebody must have created that water. Then how do you know the composition of that water? Where's the hydrogen? Show me. You don't get. Man was created. And then you saw water. You saw the blood in your body. The blood in your body was not created by you. I also told him that people do brain surgery. How do you know that what is responsible for your movement and your action is here and not inside your stomach? Think about it. If you're a deep thinker, how can you tell? There is no way to tell. But God has shown human beings that we did this thing. This is how we did it. This is how it is. Now, they also showed the Bible. But the white skins, cajoled our people, gave us something alien to us. Let me give you another very bright example. There's this place that they go to in Mecca. The house where they cover and then they go and touch it and pray, Kaaba. Very potent place. Very, very potent. If you are praying to God in Oshobo, to Allah in Oshobo, it is less potent than if you go to the Kaaba. If you are worshiping Oshun, and I'm in Odalba, and I can go to Oshun River, it is more potent than you that is worshiping Oshun from America. Jesus Christ is not from Ede. I am from Ede. I can choose not to believe in him and believe in something else. That does not mean that I've gone astray. It is an error to think that if you don't choose this one, automatically you are going to hell. It is an imaginary concept.
Okay, I think I like the way you've been able to break down most of the questions. But I'm going to ask you this. A sovereign part of humans' freedom. Can pain reduce growth and compassion? And lastly, how has suffering shaped your understanding of God?
We have suffered in one way or the other. But suffering is also a personal concept. Now, are you very rich?
No.
Is the widow very rich?
No.
Now, if you look at it, if you were to choose your current life and the widow's current life, which one would you choose? Oh, no. Beautiful. If you ask the widow in some ways, he will still tell you that he's suffering. Elon Musk will also still tell you that he's suffering. And we're all... So it means that our life is on different cadre. And suffering is a question of how we look at it. So people do not worry about what we eat. But when they have wheat loaf, they consider it as suffering. Whereas some people don't even have band at all. So I accept it that whatever happens to me is a product of what must happen at that time. And it does not necessarily mean that God hates me. I look at my own life personally, I look at it to the front, and I look at it to the back. So when I want to give thanks, I look behind. When I want to ask for things, I look to the front. So let's say, for example, I'm not able to eat in the morning, and I don't have any money, I don't have any food. Instead of thinking of myself as suffering, I will think of those that are in Sudan in war fronts. Am I better than them or not? Obviously. So suffering is what you determine it to be. DJ Kupio, $10 child, can tell you that because her music career did not blow, he's suffering to her. Is he really suffering? Do you even have to do anything being a $10 child? You're just supposed to sleep and be waking up. If you look at the reality of our own life, even if there were to be an heaven, The kind of heaven that I believe that I will go to is where them the video are now. Their own experience on earth. And it is no matter how beautiful that heaven is, it can't be more than what they are experiencing on earth. Now, then they will consider it as suffering. So I consider anything that happens to human beings. But if they don't call it suffering, how would they collect money in church? Let me give you an example. My mother used to go to a place in Lagos, in the courtroom. I just saw the place recently. TB Joshua's church. To go and buy sticker. And then she will, by 5 a.m. in the morning, she will listen to a particular program on OSBC radio. That will be preaching, and one will go and put water and carry it to the radio, and then you believe in it. One day, my mother know that I would not go. My mother took the phone call of the phone number of the guy, and then called him. My mother said we should go there, but she didn't tell me it's the place. She told me that we'll go to a place, so that something is happening, but she would not tell me that we should go there. When we go there, I saw everything that the guy was saying. Just basic, normal scope. Like there's somebody here today who is looking for the fruit of the womb, where you have 5,000 people. There's somebody here today, what you are looking for and you're begging God for, God will answer you. That's generic. You're supposed to tell me the number of air in my Beverly region. Or if I have air, there at all. That's generic.
But do you want to tell me that if you say that the person said there's someone here, he's looking for the fruit of the womb, are you trying to make me understand that those things does not work? Is it that God do not really speak to someone who is saying that?
Most of them do not have metaphysical powers. That is why during the age of the machines, now we're in the age of the machines and artificial intelligence, their miracles will reduce. Let me give you one very good example. I grew up in Oshobo. In the early 2000s, somebody came to Oshobo, Riyad Bonke, to come and do miracle. If they try it again this time, we'll molest them. Let me tell you how we'll molest them. They will bring people from Kano and then make them pretend like blind men and come and do miracle for them in Oshobo City Stadium. It's a ruse. Let me tell you why I know. Before you leave your house to a center, there are hospitals there. Go into the place and heal them. In Ayetoro, before it became dual carriage, it was a single leg. There is an effigy of a man who carried what's it called? Shekere in Yoruba language. It's still there. Now, there have been people in that place who are blind at all times. All those people that are begging for hands, they've always been there. I got to Oshobo in 1991 and we met them there. So why are you claiming that you're a pastor and then you now go and set up a crusade center? Why not go there? There are metaphysical powers. There are people who have metaphysical powers. There are people who can heal the blind and can raise the dead. Are you getting it? But many of those people who claim to have those metaphysical powers have nothing. When they themselves want to fall sick, they go and do surgery. And then they tell their church members that God will heal them. How come the God of the Bible is so powerful? The God of the Bible can do everything. But when it comes to building of church, they require money from the church members. If that God is a bit powerful, how can that God heal the blind? That God can raise the dead, but cannot provide money that even Babalawo can provide now, because I know that there is money ritual. So this is a scale for politics. And let me even shock you. Jesus Christ was not a Christian. His family members were not Christians. His relatives were not Christians. Christianity is a new religion created by the Europeans who killed Jesus. I don't know if you know. The first book of the New Testament is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We usually call it the Synoptic Gospel. That talked about the activities of the life of Jesus in different forms. So Matthew, an human being, Mark, an human being, Luke, an human being, and then John. So they all said what they knew about Jesus. But when it approached the book of Acts of Apostles, that's the fifth book of the second of the New Testament. They talked about the ascension of Jesus. Now, after Jesus Christ ascended, was the beginning of the Christian religion. Now, that religion was propagated by Paul, who was formerly Saul. Now, he was an European from Rome, because the children of Israel at that time had fallen under the rulership of the Romans. Where is Rome? Europe. Where is Israel? Where's Asia? It's a different continent. But the order of the day at that time was slavery. So those people inherited that religion, added their own. One of the grants that I have about the church today, that I stopped going there, because I stopped going there, is the admission of gay and homosexuals into the church. If God is indeed one and it doesn't change, you agree that God does not change. There's a record in the Old Testament where God killed the children of Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't know if you read that portion of the Bible. Do you know the excuse that the Bible gave? The excuse that the Bible gave is because men were sleeping with each other. So if indeed the God of that Old Testament is still the God till today, how can that God now say, okay, I've now changed my mind, I killed homosexual before, now I accept homosexuals today? And homosexuality, it is true that it is the way that some people are created, but it's not an African concept. African men are straight. It is something else, and the exposure to foreign culture that will make an African man to be an homosexual. But Europeans are different breed. Entirely. Europeans are gays, they are bestials, they are all kinds of things. But now they've hidden themselves under that Christian religion to come to us. Can you go to Afghanistan and tell them that they are that you are gay? What would they do to you? A quick one. It is because the God of the Arabians, I believe that the God of the Arabians is very, very similar to the God of the Africans. If you look at our culture, it shows modesty. Look at our way of dressing, the Yoruba people. Whether a man or a woman, they cover up. If you look at their culture too, it shows modesty. But if you look at Europeans, there is no kinds of things that they don't do. In fact, they sleep with the animals. And I know for a fact that is very, very un-African.
Okay, let's proceed, and we would like to talk about this. Is everything predestined by God, as many people always map out? And first, I would like us to talk about this. Is your life already mapped out? Some people will say, my life is planned already. This is how God wants me to live my life. This thing has been my destiny. Some people, you will even hear them saying that, this is my destiny. I am living my destiny. This is the reality of why I was created, to a large belief of some person. So let me ask you, is your life already mapped out? Or are your choices creating your future for you?
I can't answer for anybody else, but I know for a fact that my life is not predestined. It's not like a video cassette that has been written down. If you are not here today, there are several tons of other places that you can be.
Sure.
If you want to grow your career, you have to be here. But you can as well be in a weed bunk and police will come and arrest you. If police then arrest you when you should be here, is that your destiny? No. I believe that there are some things that are basic. There are some things that we cannot choose. Like, nobody asks us to be created, so we cannot choose that. I don't want to come from Mr. Light. I want to come from Mr. Dangote. Those things are basic. I believe it's the foundation of the world. But I also believe that the product of our life is determinant on our own activities too. In all of the portions of the Bible, God usually tells us to walk and pray. If our life has been predestined, why do we have to walk if we will get there for sure? The purpose of the walk is to help God to help you, because God will not do that which He has given you the capacity to do for yourself. A bike man carried me one day and was running very fast. I said, drop me. So I said, but we've not got into where we'll get to. I said, because before you get to the Yasa junction, you will fall down. One car will step on your head. He said, meaning God forbid. I said, it has nothing to do with God. There are people in Lautech today who are falling down from bike due to overspeeding. Is that their destiny? No. There are people who have committed crimes who are gone to jail. Do you think the plan of God is for them to go to jail at all costs? No, you can make other choices. There are several ways that life can turn out for you. If I'm not a music artist, how can I become a global music star like Davido? How can I then say I'm doing politics, but my destiny is to become a global music star? It's not possible. So our choices,
You can actually be a political music star.
but music must be involved, yes. But I'm not doing music. I used to do music before. In fact, I'm one of the foremost music producers in this state before. I left it. I did something else. So if somebody had told me then that your destiny is going to be a music producer, I'm doing something else now. And I'm doing well in this one that I'm doing.
So that means the part itself then.
It's a ruse. Now, I can also leave this one that I'm doing now and still do something else. I'm sufficiently educated. I qualified to be a lecturer. I can still leave what I'm doing and then go back to the university. When I complete my law program, I can also leave that one and see what I do law. So if somebody tells me and say, if someone comes to me and say, your destiny is to become governor, I may tell the person, okay, I don't want to be governor. I want to be something else. And so it means that my life is not predestined to go in this kind of way until I am no longer living in this world.
All right, but let me ask you quickly. If God knows the future, are decisions still meaningful?
The Bible, I told you that there are some errors in it. The concept of Alpha and Omega is not true. That there is somebody that knows the beginning and the end is not true. Ask me why. Why? In the Bible, if you've read it, there was a time that the children of Israel did all kinds of things. The children of Sodom and Gomorrah had done all kinds of things. The Bible says, and God looked at man and he regretted creating man. How can you know the beginning and the end if you don't know what man will do? You don't get. Somebody who knows the beginning and the end does not make errors. So the Bible, according to God, according to the Bible, made an error and admitted to it, and it was mistakenly not exposed from the Bible because they don't know that some of us will look into it very critically. So for you to then say that somebody knows the beginning from the end, that is not, then our life is not even like some people are in one place and then they carry camera and they are looking at us. For example, I am praying for God to provide more money for me. There are other people with bigger problems. There are people who have been married for 30 years and they don't have a child. And you are praying for afternoon food. Who will God prioritize? There are people in war torn zones now. The people that told you about their God, Israelites, and the people that told the Muslims about their own God, Iranians, when it came to their own personal issue, why did they not call their gods to the table to resolve it? They're using bombs. So you that they told in Oshogo, you believe in Allah Akbar, which is okay. But an Iranian is building bombs to punish his own enemy. And then the person that told you to believe in his own God is not also applying his own God. If God is the same, why do you think the Israelites and the Iranians are fighting? Should I gist you? They've been fighting from the beginning of time. They will keep fighting till the end of time. Do you get what I'm saying? They've been fighting from the beginning of time. They will keep fighting till the end of time in one form or the other to maintain balance in the world. There will never be a time that there will be total peace and tranquility because the world will not move the way it's supposed to move. So people must die, so people must be born, and then the circumstance of death is different. So people will die through accidents, so people will die when they are 70 years old, so people will die on the day they are giving birth to, so people will die at 100 years. If we all clock 100 years, if you want to work in this place, you will be eating yourselves because there will be too much people. So some of these things must happen to maintain balance.
Many believers see life as a combination of divine purpose and human responsibility. That brings me to the next phase we're about to go into. Can someone be spiritual without believing in God?
Spirituality already is the belief in the existence of God, because God sits on the end of the spiritual prison. Now, I mean, what we should now ask is that, can you be spiritual without being religious? Yes. In fact, religion does not lead you to spirituality. Religion divides. Many wars in the world, there is nothing else apart from politics that has caused war more than religion. Nothing else. Religion divides. Religion makes a wise person automatically stupid. You see a wise person like this, a wise person. When it comes to religion, it's just because suddenly stupid. You will see a judge, that is a corrupt, bravado man, very huge. But when it comes to religion, it suddenly becomes a dumb person. So I believe that for us to achieve purpose in our lives as human beings, we should prioritize spirituality. Understand God, the one that created you. It was not Allah that created me. Allah is not in charge of my own life. It was not the God of Israel that created me. But I believe in him. Because the Bible says that we can go to God through adoption. You know what adoption is? Adoption means that the person that is going to be taking care of you is not the one that gave birth to you. But at least if you can identify your father, you know him. Religion divides. That's why you will see the tenets of the God that created you, and then call it idol worshiping, and then call it fetish. In fact, when I eventually become a lawyer, there are some cases that I will attend to, and one of the things that I've seen them tell you, if you go to somebody's house and then you find olive oil and Bible, will you arrest the person? No. If you go to somebody's house and you find Quran and slates that they write that their language on, will you arrest the person? Okay, but if you go to somebody's house and see people be paraded, and then when they bring out the tools that they are using to commit the crime, they bring black soap. That is not the crime in itself. That is, and then they bring some things, they will say it's fetish. Metaphysics and law, you can't prove it. You can't prove it. It is a crime against those who believe in the tenets of that religion. And when you ask people that are doing it, they are either Christians or Muslims, and then they victimize people who do not believe in their religion. The same way you go to your pastor to pray, somebody else can decide to go to Babelebu Iban. And then how do you then say that it is your own that is right? Who told you? Who told you?
All right. Okay, one of the things, many people mediate seek peace and talk about energy and bubbles, yet do not believe in God. Is that true spirituality?
They believe in God. It depends. When people say they don't believe in God, ask them which God. When a Christian says you don't believe in God, he's talking about the belief in his own God. When a Muslim says you don't believe in God, he's talking about the belief in his own God.
Okay, so now, since you've spoken about that already, let's do this. What is the difference then between spirituality and religion?
Spirituality is the belief in the excess of God and the subscription to his tenets. God does not want us to be evil. God does not want us to backbite. God does not want us to take the life of other people unjustly. Although everything in life is subjudice. Subjudice in the sense that there is really nothing right or nothing wrong. It is a question of circumstance that is making that action. Is it good to kill? No. What if the person is a bandit or a Boko Haram that has killed a lot of people?
Self-defense.
Then the killing becomes what? Acceptable. But if you then say blanketly it's bad to kill, and then I'll show you evidences of situations where these things can happen. Is it good to punish somebody else? No. But what if the person is a criminal? They are going to receive a punishment. So back to your question. You see, spirituality, I believe, is what? I believe that spirituality will bring us together as human beings. I believe that spirituality will make us to fall ahead in more peace and tranquility. and religion will continue to divide us. In fact, let me shock you. Inside the same religion, people are still claiming to be better than each other. I don't know if you are aware that there are two kinds of Muslims in the world. There are Sunni Muslims, there are Shia Muslims. Shia Muslims take their own route from Iran. Sunni Muslims take their own route from Saudi Arabia. That's why if Iran has any problem with anybody in the world, Saudi Arabia teams up with the other side. Christendom, there are many other things that are going on right now. In my own church, you go to church on Saturday.
7 today.
Yes, when we were young, they told us that if anybody that go to church on Sunday will go to hellfire. That's the feeling that I had growing up. But what is the difference between Saturday and Sunday and a day? For me, a day is a day.
To sleep out.
Now, if indeed everybody that is going to church on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday and they don't go on Saturday will go to hellfire, what will happen to you and your whole family? Or are you also a Seventh-day Adventist member? No. The person doing reading believes that the person doing select is not on the same level with him. What sort of division is that? And we all claim that our root is Jesus Christ. Is it that they choose whether our root is Jesus Christ or not?
So everybody picks.
Or everybody picks what goes for them.
Okay, let me put these two questions together because of our time so we can manage it. Can morality and inner peace exist without belief in God? Is spirituality complete without a relationship with God?
Spirituality is not, I don't believe that spirituality is complete without a relationship with God, because spirituality is the belief in the sense of what I've said it. So you can't be spiritual and claim that you don't believe in God. But you can be spiritual and tell you that I'm not a Christian. You can also tell them that I'm not a Muslim. But you have access to your God in whatever form. You can be a Buddhist. You can be an Hinduist. In fact, the family members of Jesus Christ are not Christians. I don't know if you know till today. There are more Muslims in Israel than Christians. There are more Muslims and Christians in Israel than Christians. I don't know if you are aware. The children of Abraham have their own brand of religion. It's called Judaism.
Yeah.
Until today, that is what they practice. So if your source is Jesus Christ, then you have to really, really follow the source.
All right, quickly, let's talk about some questions that is mostly difficult to answer. One of them is, have you ever felt abandoned by God in one way or the other?
I don't believe that. Personally, God has never left me or forsaken me. God has never left me or forsaken me. I've not gotten everything that I want. I may not get everything that I want. I may not get everything. I may not get everything that I want. I may not get perfect peace and tranquility. But I also believe that that is also the part of my purpose, general purpose. So have I felt abandoned as an human being? Sometimes we feel like that. Sometimes we feel like, why is all this happening to me? But on other times, when God has done like 50,000 things for us, and then we have one difficulty, we focus on our difficulty, forgetting about the several thousands of things that God has done for us. So I am always thankful. When I want to regret, I go back to thank God that, okay, I thank you for this, and thank you for this, and thank you for this, and thank you for this. But I ask you for this and this, which you forget. Yes.
All right, so let me ask you this. Which questions has challenged you the most personally, generally, in your existence?
The question that has challenged me the most is, what is the right religion?
Yeah.
Because I grew up, and my father, very good Christian, my mother, very fantastic Christian, but the rest of our family members are Muslims. In fact, when we were small, if they come and give us Ilea food, our parents will not allow us to eat it. And I also asked my friend, they will tell you that their parents did not also allow them to eat it. Now that I have grown, food is food.
Bring it. If food is food.
The food I have neighbors who are Muslims, I take food from them. In fact, I've gone to where they are doing Obu festival. I ate the meat. It makes no difference. But I asked myself, let's say, assuming without considering that Allah is the true way. So me and my father and our church members were going to hell. And then God started answering these questions for me. but you must be very deep in spirituality. And the best ways that I applied is to study the Bible extensively. Don't be the kind of person that my pastor said, because most Christians are my pastor said. So when somebody feeds them with something, they take that thing home. So many people see from the scope of the eyes of whoever it is that they're listening to. When you can have a personal relationship with God by studying His words in several ways. God is everywhere.
All right, before we take your closing word for this episode, permit me to say this. This has to do with the audience watching at the moment. And we want to hear from you. Tell us what you feel about what I'm about to ask you. Have you ever experienced God's silence? That is one. Why do you think suffering exists? Do you believe in destiny? Can someone be spiritual without believing in God? That question is left on the table of the comment section, so do well to put justice to that. All right, over close. Let me ask you finally, if you want to advise now, I believe you've been able to establish that there is God, but if you want to advise, well, how do you think in general we should live our lives?
I believe that we should live our lives believing in the existence of God and following His true tenets. I also believe that if you want to be a Christian, I think it's good, be a Christian. You are not in the right position to tell somebody else whether or not they are worshiping the true God. If you want to be a Muslim, stop fighting for God. If you believe God is powerful, you can fight for yourself. If you want to be a traditional worshiper, do what works for you. But something connects us together. And what connects us together is that every religion subscribes to living a good life with ourselves and with our neighbors. So essentially, if you live well with yourself and your neighbor, the name of your religion should be personal between you and your God.
I'd like to say thank you for being part of the show.
Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you, everyone. I hope to always see you around.
It's been a very wonderful discussion with you and very insightful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. On that note, that brings us to the end of this particular episode. Some questions don't really have answers, but asking them can lead to deeper understanding, stronger faith, and greater self-awareness. Whether you are convinced, doubtful, or still searching, the journey of asking matters. I'd like to say thank you for joining us today on Free Flow Podcast, brought to you by RK Records. If this conversation challenged your thinking, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, comment, and share to your loved ones so we can all have knowledge. I'd like to say to you on a final note, believe in what you believe and make sure you're doing the right thing at the time you ought to do it. From every one of us at the Free Flow Podcast and RK Records, we want to say thank you for being part of the show. Do have a lovely day.